Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana, host of the Summer Nationals 100 with the ICAR Jasper Modified Series, presented by Standard Ignition. Salem Speedway celebrating 50 years of rich tradition, ready to rumble with the Elgin Dash for Cash, featuring the 6 fastest cars. We'll throw in a heat race or two, and the 100-lap main event for the ICAR Jasper Modified Series. There's a lot going on. We'll get to it right after this short pause. Welcome back to Salem Speedway for more ICAR Jasper Modified Series action as the Elgin Dash for Cash lines up. I'm Don Radeball alongside CEO and President of the ICAR Jasper Modified Series, Jim Minnick. Jim, great to have you along.
Great to be here at this beautiful speedway, Don, and I think we're in line for some great racing on this track today.
Well, I've got to believe it. This Elgin Dash for Cash, what is it? What's it all about? I've got 6 cars in our lineup.
Yes, sir. These are the 6 fastest modifieds put on, of course, by Elgin Industries out of Elgin, Illinois. You have the asphalt specialists, and we consider this series, of course, the world's premier asphalt modified series for that class of car.
And getting ready to go here, let's check the lineup. That's Tony Aid in the 15A car on the pole. Chuck Olson alongside in 65. Row 2, Chad Bland in the Jasper sponsored entry. Car number 7 alongside Rick Ronimus. Car number 15. Your final row will be Tim Taylor in 28 and Gerald Hinshaw in the 5 car. And I understand they drew for these positions, Jim?
Yes, sir. They 6 fastest, and they draw for these positions as they start the race, Don.
It's time to draw out the guns. Green flag in the air. We are underway in the Summer Nationals here at Salem Speedway for the ICAR Jasper Modified Series. The 15 car takes the early lead, but apparently no start here. The lineup wasn't good enough as they came across the stripe. We'll have to try this again. Good look at the Jasper Engines trailer. There's a lot going on. Kids are happy in the infield anyway, while we get ready to rumble with more racing here off turn 4. Let's try this again. Tony Aid in the 15A car gets the jump right off the bat. Aid, your leader, off turn 2. They're doubled up further back, but it's Tony Aid with the early lead here as the 7 car of Chad Bland battles with Chuck Olson in the 65 car. They're wheel to wheel here off turn 4. How about that Tony Aid, Jim, in the 15A car? What do you know about him?
Yes, sir. He's been a champion, has run the Midwest and the asphalt for many years. Don, this is why we call him the Kool-Aid Tony Aid.
That works out good, and he's got a cool lead right now worth about 3 or 4 car lengths, maybe 5 car lengths here off turn 4. Kool-Aid, as he is known. Tony Aid, ladies and gentlemen, has a pretty good lead here and enjoying his advantage here off turn 2. Tony Aid continues to lead the Elgin Dash for Cash here, a 6-lap dash featuring the 6 fastest cars in this year's version of the Summer Nationals 100, which I understand this is the first ever Summer Nationals 100, Jim.
It certainly is, Don. 100 laps of ICAR Jasper modified action for the first time ever on Salem Speedway.
And that's exciting in itself, knowing that there are 33 degrees of banking here in this fast, lightning fast half mile. We should have plenty of action to help keep you covered here this afternoon. Good race for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, lined up single file now. It is the 65 car of Chuck Olson still holding on to the 2nd spot, but free and clear is Tony Aid, Kool-Aid here off turn 4, showing the way with laps winding down. Good racing for 3rd and 4th. A couple cars got together there in 1 and 2. In fact, it'll bring 1 around and into the inner retaining guardrail. Somebody in trouble down there in turn 2. Who do we have there, Jim?
We have Rick Ronimus, the Rocket, got crossed up there, and while the smoke, we thought he was in real trouble, but apparently the car's okay. I think he'll come around here and see if he'll join the field.
Yeah, no significant damage done, or so it seems. There was contact down there in 1 and 2. I think he may have had some help. Nonetheless, we'll go back to green flag racing when we sort things out. One thing we know is that Tony Aid continues to show the way in the 15 car. He has led every lap and rather easily while they race behind him. Tony Aid has been able to open up about a 5-car advantage when I'm certain he's fairly comfortable with. The 65 car continues to run 2nd. Chuck Olson doing a wonderful job here this afternoon. Your top 5 cars there lined up single file, getting ready for the restart, and this Elgin Dash for Cash. 6 laps, the 6 quickest cars of this Summer Nationals. And again, Tony 8 continues to show the way with the 65 car, Chuck Olson in tow. Tim Taylor, the 28 car, who was the quickest qualifier of this event, by the way, runs third ahead of Gerald Hinshaw in the 5 car. Chad Bland, the Jasper entry, is currently 5th, and apparently Rick Ronimus is unable to go and will evidently go without as Tony 8 pedal to the metal here off turn 4 and already takes a 5-car advantage. Jimmy's got a great handle on that car today.
Yes, he does, Don, and I'll tell you, he's one of those gentlemen that spends a lot of times on setup, and it'll pay off today.
And it's certainly showing as he takes more than a 5-car advantage. Back to 3 and 4, anticipating the checkered flag. Tony 8 takes the Elgin Dash for cash. Congratulations. Running second will be Chuck Olson. More racing right after this. Welcome back to Salem Speedway, just in time for some heat race action. Heating up off turn 4, the green flag already in the air. Bill Bartholomew to the outside, the red 62 car racing wheel to wheel with J.R. Coyner in the 3 car, but it's Bartholomew with the edge back to turn 3. Bartholomew assumes the lead in this, our first of 2 heats here this afternoon. Won't be able to bring you the other heat due to the obvious time restraints, but we will show you all the action in heat race number 1 worth 10 laps. Right now the leader continues to be Bill Bartholomew in the 62 car. Good race here, Jim.
Certainly is, Don. They're doing an awesome job out there, and notice how those cars are moving around on the high banks and dicing off those high banks. Always exciting racing at beautiful Salem Speedway.
Yeah, I noticed they're really skating around out there. Apparently they don't enjoy the big wide slicks you would normally think that would come to a pavement track. I understand they're on 8-inch wide tires. Is that so?
Yes, sir, Don. It's almost like a DOT tire. It's a treaded 8-inch tire. A lot of horsepower put through those 8-inch tires, and so really that's the controlling factor in the speed of a lot of these cars.
Maybe that's why we're seeing some of these cars skate around the speedway, because certainly not a lot of tread on the pavement here to control all that horsepower. I assume they are a handful here with a good race off turn 4. Bill Bartholomew continues to show the way. Are they at all, Jim, offered any choice of compounds, or are they all on the same compound?
No, sir, Don. This tire is it's the American Racer. There's only one compound for dirt and asphalt, so it takes a lot of finesse in these cars. And I'll tell you, Tim Taylor, the Grand National karting champ, who we'll see here in a little bit in the 28 car, came up through, of course, the karts. And when you're smooth in the karting world, you can be smooth in the ICAR Jasper Modified Series.
It's just that easy, I suppose, and apparently it looks pretty easy so far for Bill Bartholomew, car number 62, who continues to enjoy his advantage, worth about 5 car lengths, back to 1 and 2 with the 3 car of J.R. Coyner trying to chase him down, but so far unable to do so. Still about a 5 car advantage, back to 3 and 4. You're enjoying the ICAR Jasper Modified Series at Salem Speedway. Heat race number 1 of 2 here this afternoon. We'll show you 1 heat today and bring you up on tap will be the 100-lap main event and 100 laps around this lightning quick bull ring. Jim, I've got to believe that's going to be a workout.
It certainly is, and every time we go to Salem, you know, on the high banks, it's a thrilling event for the crowd, and of course thrilling for all the competitors to be able to run this beautiful track.
Yeah, it's a beautiful track and a beautiful setting. Owen Thompson, the owner of the Speedway, has done a wonderful, magnificent job here. Beautiful setting with the golf carts there, off the golf course there, off the backstretch. Beautiful facility, and we're glad to be here for this great event. And right now, things look great for Bill Bartholomew, who has opened up that advantage to about 5, maybe 6 or 7 car lengths over J.R. Coyner as they go through what I understand here, Jim, is about 33 degrees of banking in this half-mile high bank bull ring.
Yes, sir, and it's a .555 to be exact on the size of this track now.
Checkered flag out for Bill Bartholomew, who takes heat race number 1, getting ready for the main event. Plenty more to go. Hope you'll stay with us. Welcome back to Salem Speedway for the ICAR Jasper Modified Series here in the Summer Nationals 100, pacing behind the Renegade Transporter. Renegade, the official trailers of ICAR. Time now for the engine power component starting lineup. 100 laps of distance this afternoon should be a whole bunch of fun. Let's check it out here. On the pole will be Tim Taylor, the 28 car out of Indianapolis, Indiana. He'll be tough. Remember, he was the quickest qualifier for this event. Alongside the 00, that's Tony Like from Lafayette, Indiana. Row 2 on the inside, Chad Bland in the Jasper engine-sponsored entry. Bland out of Huntingtonburg, Indiana, that is. Outside of him, car number 5, Gerald Hinshaw, hailing from Moreland, Indiana. Row 3 on the inside, car number 15, Rick Ronimus from Muncie, Indiana. Alongside the 76 car, that'll be L.J. Lyons out of Indianapolis. Then in row 4, Tony Aid, who we saw won the Elgin Dash for Cash early on. Gentleman out of Lafayette, Indiana, in the 15A car, alongside the 65 of Chuck Olson out of Commerce Township, Michigan. Row 5 on the inside, Herb Johnson will start there out of Delphi, Indiana. Alongside the 36 car, Darren Bowman out of Pine Village, Indiana. Row 6, you'll have Jeff Lane there, car number 11 from Knightstown, Indiana, alongside the 17 car, Dan Isley from Battlegrounds, Indiana. A lot of Hoosiers in the lineup here this afternoon. Up to row 7 now, Gary Hall in the 95 car. He's from Martinsville, Indiana, alongside the 16 of Rusty Ronimus from Muncie, Indiana. Rusty, the younger brother of Rick. Row 8 on the inside, Michael Stewart, car number 4 from Carmel, Indiana, alongside the 17E of Frank Evans Jr. from Flint, Michigan. Row 9, Ken Kropp will start inside in the 18 car alongside car number 3, J.R. Coiner from Lafayette, Indiana. Row 10, John Heck from Indianapolis in the 7H, works alongside Bill Bartholomew, who won the heat race early on. Car number 62, Bartholomew out of Sharonville, Ohio. Row number 11 now, Chuck Minette from Fort Wayne, Indiana. In the 97 will work alongside the 6B of Brian Orphy out of Indianapolis. Then row 12, David Crabtree in 81 from Lafayette, Indiana, alongside car number 66, Steve Agnew from Indianapolis. And bringing up the tail end all by his lonesome will be Jeff Letzen, the 131 car. Gentleman hailing all the way from Huntsville, Alabama. Jim came a long way for the Summer Nationals 100.
Yes, he did, Don, and we're certainly happy to have him travel that distance to be with us today.
All right, again, 100 laps the distance here as we anticipate the start of the Summer Nationals 100 for the ICAR Jasper Modified Series. What about this series, Jim? How long we've been around, and when did it all begin?
Actually, ICAR came into existence, Don, in October of 1994. And, of course, this is our third year down here with Salem Speedway. And, of course, our wonderful sponsors, Jasper Engines and Transmissions out of Jasper, Indiana.
All right. So we are in our third year of existence, and we're hoping for many more. And I know the series continues to grow as we anticipate the lineup, or make that the start here of the Summer Nationals 100. Again, Tim Taylor on the pole alongside Tony Like in the 00 car, looking for the green flag here off turn 4. And it's Tony Like that gets the jump to the flag, back to 1 and 2. Like the early leader with the 28 car of Tim Taylor in tow. Indianapolis, Indiana's Tim Taylor chasing Tony Like back to 3 and 4. They're lined up bumper to bumper, nose to tail, off turn 4. Tony Like continues to show the way here in the early stages of the Summer Nationals 100. That's the 5 car of Gerald Hinshaw. Running third, but a race for the lead. The 28 car, Taylor charges to the inside of Like. He'll make it good here off turn 4. Now Hinshaw looks for room inside of Like. Not enough. He'll fall in line and follow the tire tracks of Taylor. And Like back and off of turn 2. Tim Taylor showing the way. Any surprises here, Jim?
Not at all. Tim was right out front, and we thought maybe he would do that. Tony Like is a great competitor. Gerald Hinshaw on the black number 5 running third, is second in points, so we're going to have a challenge all the way through this race down.
I understand that Taylor is the defending champion. Is that so?
Yes, sir. He was the champion last year, and this year, of course, he's in the lead in points and a challenger. You know, you have to have these cars prepared. You have to have them set up right. You have to have the power, the finesse. He's got it all, Don.
Apparently he does already with a 5-car advantage, maybe a little more here as they race back to turns 3 and 4. Now, does he set that car up himself, or does he hire a crew chief, or who does all the labor there?
I'll tell you, Don, these cars, most of these cars, if not all of them, are family operations. And I've talked with the Taylors on their car, as well as Chuck Olson and his crew and many of the other fine folks. And they put a lot of hours in these. And this is family entertainment for our good fans, and of course the families are also the ones that prepare these cars and keep them in great shape.
And right now Tony Like is entertaining the race fans here with Gerald Hinshaw, until Hinshaw giving Like a run for second here as he chases him nose to tail off turn 2. Pretty good race here. Gerald Hinshaw out of Moreland, Indiana, in the 5 car, running very well. What do we know about him, Jim?
Gerald's been around a long time, and of course we call him Mr. Smooth because at every race he's in there. If there's a chance to find a hole and get through it, Gerald's going to try it. He keeps trying, and where a lot of guys will back off a little bit, maybe settle for a spot, Gerald Hinshaw never has been one that'll do that, Don.
And right now watching the 76 car of L.J. Lyons, holding a fine line here off turn 4, and for now holding off the 7 car of Chad Bland. Bland, of course, carries the Jasper engines and transmission sponsorship in the 7 car, giving Lyons a real run for it. Here is the race for 3rd and 4th as we rejoin the leaders, make that 4th and 5th. Here's the leader, Tim Taylor, now with already a 10-car advantage. This guy is really, really hooked up.
Yes, he has, Don. He's right out there and running smooth. You know, if you look back into, you mentioned L.J. Lyons. L.J. is one of those people that have been around for a number of years. We call him L.J. the Legend. He's diced off of these high banks for many, many years. A lot of folks have learned a lot of things off of L.J. Lyons.
And currently one of our top 5 contenders. But there's the man on the point, Tim Taylor, not only the defending champion of the ICAR Jasper Modified Series, but our quickest qualifier here this afternoon. He started his quest from the pole and has already opened up about a 15-car advantage. Taylor setting a torrid pace early on in the Summer Nationals 100.
This is unusual, Don, because I'll tell you, these people don't run away from each other. Tim must really have it set up extra well today. And if you watch, and as you watch this race, and you watch the tail of those cars, they'll come closer and closer to that high bank and that wall up there. The higher they go, the faster they'll go, Don.
And I notice a lot of these cars really kind of set up, I don't want to say set up loose, but running a little loose, and I suppose that has to do with a great deal of horsepower and not a lot of tire. We talked about the tires early on, about only 8 inches wide. That's not a lot of tire to have help holding you down here at Salem Speedway.
No, it isn't, Don, but you know, when you say loose, I'll tell you, these are professionals. These guys are what we call the asphalt specialists of the world in this class of car, and it looks a little loose, and that's mainly because they're running on the edge. Not over, but on that edge, Don. That's so important when you're running a competitive series like the ICAR Jasper Modified Series.
And they are definitely indeed on the edge, but careful for the moment not to cross that edge as Tim Taylor continues to show the way, and Taylor has really got this field covered, at least for now in the early stages. Almost nearly a full straightaway advantage now over the 2nd place car of Tony Like, the 00 car. Gerald Hinshaw, as we mentioned earlier, continues to run 3rd in the 5 car ahead of L.J. Lyons and Chad Bland, your top 5 contenders for now. But right now belongs to Indianapolis, Indiana's Tim Taylor here off turn 4. And I guess we should also point out as we begin to approach the halfway markers here, remember, again, the distance is 100 laps. I understand, Jim, there is a mandatory pit stop at the halfway markers or at the 50-lap point. Now, what's that all about?
Okay, Don, what you're going to see here is, as soon as we complete the 50 laps, you'll see a yellow flag that'll wave. Pardon me, Don. You'll see a white flag that'll wave, then a yellow flag for a cool-down lap. We're going to allow these people 15 minutes in the pits. They can do anything with those race cars they want to. At the end of those 15 minutes, the race will restart. Whoever is not on the track will fall into the rear of that field. So it's an exciting way to do it. It's a safe way to do it, and we're looking forward to this, especially the pit stop, to just see how this works for us today.
Now, does that happen at all ICAR modified events, or is that just something that's going on here at Salem Speedway? Is that part of your regular program?
No, sir, Don. This is the first of a kind down here, this 100-lapper with a break at the 50-lap mark. Basically, Don, we want to make sure, you know, safety is of the utmost importance. We got some of the best in the world, and we want to take care of these good folks. And they can come in, you know, like all the good racers, and check the tires, check the car over, give those teams an opportunity to put a serviceable race car back on that lap, back on that track for the last 15.
Yeah, and it's beginning to tighten up front. Good racing here for 4th and 5th. Chad Bland, the Jasper car, number 7, continues to haunt L.J. Lyons, the veteran, in car number 76. They've been nose to tail and bumper to bumper and side to side, wheel to wheel, and all that stuff for about the last 10 rounds, really giving it a great race. And I've got to believe that Tim Taylor, who leads this thing by a full straightaway, is loving this, because as they continue to race, Taylor continues to open up the advantage. There's a shot of Tony Aid in the 15 car, who we saw win earlier on in this program. Aid currently running 6th in the lineup and doing a great job here this afternoon. You mentioned this halfway pit stop. Jim. Now, you said they can do anything that they want. Does that mean they can change tires, take on more fuel, make any adjustments they prefer? They can do anything.
Pretty much, Don. Somebody said earlier, can they change the car? No, they have to run the same car, Don.
They can't change the car.
No, they can't change the car, but...
Can they change the driver?
No, Don, they can't. Not on this race here.
All right.
But basically what they will do is they will go in and they will check the tires, maybe make some minor adjustments and so forth. We weigh all of these cars before the start of the race. And once they enter that pits, we, of course, can't manage what they do, and we don't want to, Don. But after the race, we will again weigh them again. And during that stop, we'll watch for, anything that is going on in the pit that would be unusual, but really leaves them open to tighten up the car. Really, Don, what that does is the second 50 on this should tighten up, and it should be one heck of a show, because as you get a little bit loose or a little bit tight, if you got a chance to adjust halfway through, it's going to be some real quick racing.
Hey, smoke on the right rear there off turn 4. He's caught in a little traffic here. Look at the 36 car. Very loose, but did a wonderful job of holding on to that thing as he charged through turns 1 and 2. But the 36 car was very, very loose, that being Darren Bowman out of Pine Village, Indiana, but did a wonderful job of hanging on to the handle on that car. So as we approach the halfway mark, if these cars or chassis are off, if she's too loose, or if they're too tight, they'll have their opportunity at the halfway point to readjust their cars, change tires, take on more fuel, or whatever they prefer. Of course, they can't change the driver or the car, but they can do just about anything else.
You know, Don, Tim Taylor has the track record here at Salem Speedway at 17.756. I don't have my card in front of me to tell the exact miles per hour, but let's say around 111, 112 miles an hour. Again, Don, for this class of car, that's moving.
As we rejoin Tim Taylor, who continues to lead the Summer Nationals 100, the Indianapolis, Indiana driver, doing a wonderful job now with more than a full straightaway advantage. Yeah, I would say 112 mile an hour on 8-inch skins is really cooking here at Salem Speedway. No question about it.
It must be a heck of a thrill out there, Don. What do you think?
Oh, I've got to believe it is, but I can only imagine from this vantage point, but I'm sure enjoying this end of it. I'm more comfortable here than I would be in the car, that's for sure, but I've got to believe it's got to be a whole bunch of fun. We should point out that that track record is for the ICAR series, not necessarily the track record for Salem Speedway, but for this type of race car, the ICAR Jasper Modified. It is indeed a track record owned by our current leader, car number 28, Tim Taylor from Indianapolis, Indiana, is really getting the job done now, approaching a more than a straightaway advantage. That's a lap car. Car 1 lap off the pace as we look for the... Gonna have to look hard for Tim Taylor. He is really taken off.
You know, Donna, for the folks that have never been down there at this prestigious facility, they need to show up at Salem sometime and watch one of these races, because the high banks are really awesome to watch in all the classes of cars, not just the ICAR Team Jasper Modifieds.
Look at the racing here. Great racing here. This is the race again for 4th and 5th, still going on. LJ Lyons in the 76 car has been trying to hold off Chad Bland in the 7 car, and now the 15 car of Tony Aide wants a piece of the action as well, but some great racing here further back for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's the 00 car of Tony Likes currently running 3rd. I should point out that the 5 car of Gerald Hinshaw has passed Likes for 2nd. Tony Like now running 3rd and attempting to hold off the 76 car of LJ Lyons, and he's got a rear view mirror full of Chad Bland, as he has right from the start. Been a great race here as they continue to race here wheel to wheel, as the 7 car puts a wheel and maybe a little more under the 76 of LJ Lyons, but just can't quite get the job done. This is good modified racing, Jim.
Yeah, we know we talked about Tim Taylor in the carts. Chad Bland out of Huntingburg, Indiana, also ran against Timmy, I guess, from the time they were both 10 years old, so you could tell these competitors have run it with each other for many, many years. And you know, Don, we believe in green flag racing. We have very few yellow laps in this series, and I just was looking forward till today, the first 100, to see how many greens we do have.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, because we have, up to this point, have seen absolutely no cautions. Not here in the main event, anyway. She has been green right from the get-go, and that's a tribute to the drivers as well, who continue to hang on to that ragged edge without crossing. As we rejoin the leader, car number 28, Tim Taylor, putting a lap on the 17 car, I believe, of Frank Evans Jr., the Flint, Michigan driver. But it's the 28 of Tim Taylor now with almost nearly a half lap lead, not even half the race completed, but this guy is really getting the job done. He has found a handle that works extremely well.
He sure has, Don. And you know, the Frank Evans Jr., the Sneakers car that he just passed, Frank is a rookie this year out of Flint, Michigan. He's just tickled to death to run with us, and boy, he's come on strong. So we're going to look for him as a possible runner-up for rookie, or maybe rookie of the year.
I can believe it. Still working the lap traffic is Tim Taylor, and this is holding him up a bit, but no matter, he has built such a comfortable advantage thus far in the Summer Nationals 100 that he can afford a little dicing in lap traffic and probably enjoying himself capitally all the while doing it as we watch great modified racing. Finally sneaks inside of what looks like the 95 car of Gary Hall, Martinsville, Indiana drivers. Jim, I'm noticing a lot of Hoosier guys in your lineup here this afternoon.
Yes, there are, Don, but I'll tell you, this series has opened up in the last couple of years, and we have people from Arizona that run with us, and of course Michigan and all over the Midwest. We'll be moving into the South down in with the Southern All-Star Racing Series, and I think we're going to sanction their modified racing throughout the South. Welcome that series to ICAR, and of course we're happy as heck with all the fans we have around the country.
And here's the race for 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's the 76 car of L.J. Lyons, who has somehow, some way been able to hold off the hard charges from Chad Bland in the 7 car, and Tony Aide trailing that as well in the 15 car. But this race has been hot for the last 40 laps or so. These guys really racing hard, and I'll tell you what, Lyons has done a wonderful job of holding off the 7 car because he has been chasing him bumper to bumper and wheel to wheel all the way.
You know, these two purple cars that Chad is sandwiched in between, looks like a sandwich, don't it,
Yeah,
Don?
and he's the meat in the sandwich right now.
Yes, sir. Those are presented here by Wayne Shue, the owner of those teams. The 2 team cars out of Muncie, Indiana. Of course, L.J. Lyons, number 76, the old veteran, chased by Chad Bland, and of course, L.J.'s teammate, Rick the Rocket Rodimus, in the purple 15.
28 car, Tim Taylor continues to show the way. No surprise here, he's cleared the traffic. Again, he's the quickest qualifier. If you're just joining us, Tim Taylor here in the 28 car, the Indianapolis, Indiana driver, started from the pole, quick qualifier, and has opened up, before we are even halfway through this event, more than a half lap lead. That's the handle on that 28 car, and it's a good one as he puts another lap on the 131 car, driver all the way from Huntsville, Alabama, Jeff Letzen in the 131. But as you were saying earlier, Jim, if you haven't been to Salem Speedway, you got to get here. This track is beautiful. Owen Thompson has done a wonderful job in renovating this facility. He's got brand new suites and press boxes here behind the main grandstand, and just a beautiful facility here, celebrating 50 years of rich tradition that dates back to 1947. And I've got to believe you're proud to have this racetrack on your schedule.
Oh, always. We basically run at all the premier asphalt series tracks, or asphalt tracks in the Midwest. Of course, Salem is real special to us, and Owen and Beverly Thompson have done, like you say, Don, an absolutely beautiful job here. They're great people to work with. Again, a family operation at one of our premier speedways.
You better believe it. I call it the Bristol of the North. High bank, half-mile bull ring, and similar to Bristol Motor Speedway, which some of you folks in the South are certainly familiar with. And right now, it appears that Tim Taylor is very familiar with Salem Speedway as he continues to show the way in the Southern Nationals 100, doing a magnificent job. And we are approaching, I should point out, that halfway point. Remember, this is a 100-lap main event, but as we mentioned earlier, at the 50-lap point, or the halfway point, we will throw a white flag to slow the cars down, throw the caution, get them slowed down even more. We'll bring them in for 15 minutes. They'll get an opportunity to adjust their cars, make them better, change tires, take on fuel, whatever they want. In fact, I believe we're halfway now. So we'll slow the boys down and bring them pit side for all their necessary adjustments. Again, they're allotted 15 minutes. That's it. That's all, to make their adjustments, change tires, or do whatever they need to do to make their cars better for the second half of the Summer Nationals 100 here at Salem Speedway. So we anticipate the leaders coming down pit road, and keep in mind, they'll not be in all that much of a hurry. Of course, I'm used to seeing, to relate to a pit stop, a Winston Cup pit stop, where they do 4 tires and fuel in about 18 seconds. We won't have that here because no need for it. They'll take their time and make all the necessary adjustments. There's the leaderboard, the 28 car, Tim Taylor, and the 5 car running second, Gerald Hinshaw, as we are now pit side, and one already jacked up. That is the LJ Lyons machine, car number 76, as they go to work on it. Jim, what kind of things do you think of they're doing here? What's that? I saw a fan, actually an electric fan over the radiator to help keep the car cool, I assume.
Yes, sir, Don. It's kind of interesting, you know, hooking up an electric fan. Of course, when they stop the car, the fan stops, or any cooling stops, and this is a real effective way to keep from losing coolant at this portion of the game.
The Summer Nationals 100, or the ICAR Jasper Modified Series, is brought to you in part by Goodyear Belts and Hoses. As this 15-minute pit stop continues, and more adjustments and more tire changing and more this and more that as they continue to work on the 76. That's a pretty race car.
That sure is, Don. That's one of those team cars. You know, the other 15 purple car is driven by Rick the Rocket Ronimus, and of course here's LJ's, I believe that's his boy there, recovering a brand new tire for the right rear of that machine.
And I saw some right rear tires smoking out there in the first 50 laps, and I'm sure these guys smoked off a few and want to go with fresh rubber for the second 50 laps to put forth their very best effort. That's the 7 car, of course, of Chad Bland, who had been chasing that other car, the 76 car, LJ Lyons, for most of this event. They've been racing hard for 4th and 5th, and we look forward to more of that in the second half. 65 car making adjustments. That would be Chuck Olson from Commerce, Michigan. And the 11 car of Jeff Lane. Jim, what do you know about this guy?
Jeff is a great competitor. We call him Mr. Personality. He's just a heck of a good guy. He also competes in the Indiana Late Model Series, so we look forward to having Jeff with us for a long time to come.
We'll be back with the second half. Welcome back to Salem Speedway here in Salem, Indiana for the Summer Nationals 100, presented by Standard Ignition. I'm Don Radeval alongside Jim Minnick, back with the second half. That means 50 more laps of thunder here around this half-mile high bank bull ring here at Salem Speedway. The running order for now is Tim Taylor, car number 28. Running second is the 5 car of Gerald Hinshaw. I believe third in the lineup now is the 76 car, LJ Lyons, ahead of Chad Bland in car number 7, and Rick Ronimus, car number 15 for now, rounding out the top 5. Looking for the go here very, very soon. Tim Taylor, who had taken at one time nearly a half-lap lead, will see that go away here in the second half, at least for now. And of course, some of those cars are 1 lap down. Again, Tim Taylor, the leader in the white number 28. Those 2 cars there running second and third on the speedway are 1 lap down. Running second is the black car, the 5 car of Gerald Hinshaw. But the leader is Tim Taylor here, car number 28. Tim Taylor apparently has not lost the handle on that car, Jim.
Yes, sir, Don. I'll tell you, it's a chance, you know, when you change tires, you change stagger a little bit. Will the car be better, or will it be worse? Did you do justice to it, or didn't you? Time's going to tell on this one, Don.
And, of course, the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And maybe that's the strategy for the 28 car of Tim Taylor, who already jumps out to more than a 10-car advantage over Gerald Hinshaw, who, for the moment, is being a bit hindered by the lap cars. A few lap cars. He has disposed of one. Now he'll go to work on the other. Gerald Hinshaw in car number 5. You guys call him Mr. Smooth, and he is the epitome of that here this afternoon.
That's right. Smooth equals speed, Don, and he's got smooth, I'll tell you that.
And although the car appears to be loose, he runs the car what I would consider a smooth loose. He is on the ragged edge, but hanging on and doing a wonderful job. So is the leader, Tim Taylor, who continues to dominate the Summer Nationals 100 here at Salem Speedway. This guy has it all figured out.
You know, Don, not only Tim Taylor, but like we said earlier about how close they run to the wall. Watch when they get down there and enter 3. As they go through 3, entering 4, the rear of that edge of that car will be almost against the wall.
Exactly. Here as we watch some of the other contenders charge back to 1 and 2. Now the 5 car of Gerald Hinshaw has disposed of 2 lap cars. He'll now go to work on Tim Taylor in car number 28, although a full straightaway separates our 2 front runners, Taylor and Hinshaw, as we watch Hinshaw chase Taylor here off turn 4. But he's got a lot of looking to do, searching for the white car of Tim Taylor again with a full straightaway advantage.
Tim's got a lead out there, of course, but boy, Hinshaw and the next 3 cars are in there in kind of a close pack, Don.
All right, here off turn 4, there's the advantage that Tim Taylor enjoys. Again, a full straightaway, and that's pretty comfortable at this point as we're approaching the 60-lap mark of this 100-lap event. Tim Taylor continues to lead.
Don, if you watch Tim out there in front, you know, he's running fast and running hot, but as we know from watching racing over the vast number of years, sometimes you use up the car. There's always that chance by running that fast.
And when you say use up the car, are we assuming you mean use up possibly the right rear tire or some of the right side tires?
You can use up the right rear, the left rear. You could use up the whole car, engine and everything. Remember, the faster you go, the harder you go, the more car you use. And this is a 100-lap race. There's still many laps till the checkered flag lap now.
And here's the race for third and fourth. It continues to be a good one here. Maybe the best race of the day so far. Anyway, LJ Lyons, car number 76, continues to hold off the hard charge from the car number 7 of Chad Bland, and they've been dancing this way, nose to tail and wheel to wheel for the first 60 or 65 laps or so. These guys really getting it on.
We talked about how you use up the car. If you notice when Chad goes high there and when he comes low, he gets a little bit squirrely. The tires are a little bit hot. What he'll do, he'll put in the challenge and he'll keep challenging, keep the pressure on LJ, letting him know he's there. Then after a while, Chad's going to have to back off a little bit, let the tires cool, and then he'll go back at it, Don. That's what's happening out there today.
Although I don't see a lot of backing off from Chad at this point, but you're absolutely right. If he continues to heat that right rear, which he's having to do, charging inside of the 76 car off turn 4 and back to 1 and 2, he probably will have to cool his heels, so to speak, and remount his challenge. But right now, the challenge is not going away. He continues to hound the 76 car of LJ Lyons. Great modified racing here, and I'm noticing you're absolutely right, Jim. The two lines here at Salem Speedway are different. You'll notice the line through 1 and 2, it's through the middle of the course or the middle of the track. Then, as they charge off turn 2 and set their chassis up for 3 and 4, going to go around some lap cars here to the inside, but again, he takes it, as you say, right to the top side of the speedway through 3 and 4. So two distinctive lines here at Salem, through the middle, through 1 and 2, and through the high end in 3 and 4.
Boy, the excitement builds, and it always has at Salem Speedway for me, Don. When they get up high going into 3 and hold that line right against that wall, you know what's going to happen. They're going to come ducking to the inside for that pass when they get close on the inside. And I tell you, the thrill of this track and modified racing, it never leaves.
I'll tell you, that's got to be a thrill through 3 and 4, right against the cement wall there. That seems to be the quick way around 3 and 4, right through the fence and off turn 4 as LJ Lyons shows the line here off turn 4.
Don, you know, talking just a little bit about this speedway, some of the greats have run here, you know, Foyt and the Unzers and Andretti's and you name them, they've all cut their teeth on these speedways. This is called, in the old days, they called it the Hills, one of a number of tracks that was the prelude to their Indianapolis runs. Of course, it's a beautiful Indianapolis Speedway.
And of course, you're referring to a lot of the open wheel ranks. We've enjoyed a lot of stock car action here through the years as well, typically with the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series. In fact, the former Winston Cup champions Benny Parsons and Bobby Ellison's are former winners here for the ARCA Series at Salem Speedway. Our point is that there is plenty of rich tradition here, 50 years worth here at Salem Speedway, and we're proud to be a part of bringing you the ICAR Jasper Modified Series as we watch the 5-car Gerald Hinshaw still running second and looking for Tim Taylor, still looking hard for the leader. There's the advantage. Taylor in a bit of traffic now here off turn 4 and back to 1 and 2.
Don, the way it looks by me, and I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like to you that maybe Taylor is faltering a little bit. Maybe Henshaw is coming on a little stronger. I see a little bit closeness, a little bit more closeness between 1 and 2. What do you think, Don?
Well, I can tell you this. His advantage, although was at one time more than a full straightaway here in the second half, it has gone away a bit. Not a lot, but you're absolutely right. The 5-car of Henshaw is beginning to gain ground on the 28-car of Tim Taylor. Don't know if he'll have enough time to get there, but he is slowly but surely chewing away his lead. Indeed, he is. It's less than the straightaway now.
Wow, maybe what I said earlier, Don, about using up some of this car, maybe that's happening right now. What do you think?
Maybe it's that smooth thing you were referring to early on. The 5-car of Gerald Hinshaw, the epitome of smooth, and I guess to go fast, smooth is definitely a part of the formula. It sure is working for Hinshaw in the 5-car.
Don, he is gaining ground. I noticed on that last lap, he's coming on strong. Let's see what happens there.
Well, with about 30 laps to go, he's going to have to hurry, though, because Taylor still enjoys quite an advantage here in the Summer Nationals 100. Now, let's talk about the power plants here briefly. I understand that there are no cubic inch limits. They can fairly, pretty much run what they've run, so to speak.
Yeah, some of these cars years ago, they had a claimer engine and so forth. That's not what we're about. We maintain, like we talked about here today on this program, we've maintained the 8-inch treaded tire to control some of that horsepower. But as far as the engines go, they have, some of them are running 430s, 350s, according to what track you're on. You know, they change the cubic inch to fit that track. A little smaller track on that tire. The horsepower doesn't help you a bit, Don. You do get a little advantage from more horsepower, though, when you go to a super speedway like Salem, Indiana.
Yep. Short track super speedway style here at Salem Speedway with the ICAR Jasper Modified Series. And right now that series belongs to Tim Taylor. We'll show you the rest when we return. The ICAR Jasper Modified Series for the Summer Nationals 100 brought to you in part by Goodyear Belts and Hoses as we continue or rejoin the action. Right now, 28 car, Tim Taylor continues to make most of it here, going by the lap car, the 4 car of Michael Stewart out of Carmel, Indiana. It's Taylor continues to set the torrid pace. And we were alluding to the engines, how they have no cubic inch limitations. We should point out, though, that I understand that they have to run a steel block. They can't come with an aluminum block. They have to run the steel engine block, but they can run, or they have the choice to run the aluminum heads and aluminum manifolds.
Absolutely, Don. Yeah, it's a naturally aspirated 2 or 4 barrel carburetor, no fuel injection, no magnetos, no sprint car engines basically, but let the cubic inches run and let the cars entertain the fan. That's why we're here today.
So other than bringing a steel block, you can pretty much bring whatever or however much money you can spend here under the hood. And right now, the 5 car running second, that's Hinshaw. Here's the race for 3rd and 4th. And I'll tell you what, this has been a great race for the last 80 laps or so as we get ready to wind this one down. 76 of L.J. Lyons continues to take the heat from Chad Bland, who just can't seem to find his way around here at Salem Speedway. But this has been a great, great race.
You know, Don, I've watched that race there all day. He has not touched the rear of that 76 car all day. Chad has run a cleanly contested race. That's what our mission statement states, and that's what we like to propagate right here. Cleanly contested, fast and exciting ICAR Jasper Modified Racing.
And we're getting plenty of it. Compliments of Chad Bland and the 7 car and L.J. Lyons, and you're absolutely right. That 7 car of Bland has been in position to turn that 76 car around at any particular moment, and you're absolutely right. He has not touched that car. He will not drive. If you can't drive around him, he won't drive through him, and that's, you've got to respect that. And we're sure enjoying their performance here this afternoon.
Don, have you noticed we have not had one yellow flag so far? I don't know the exact laps, but boy, we're getting close here to winding this thing down.
That's amazing.
It's been green flag racing from green to checkered.
Oh, well, we're not to the checkered yet, but we're getting darn close. And I'll tell you what, other than the mandatory halfway point or stop, you're absolutely right. There have been no cautions. A real testament to the drivers who are doing such a wonderful job here this afternoon. Here's the leader off turn 4. It's the 28 car, and he's in traffic. And the 5 car of Hinshaw has been gaining on Taylor, and now he's gaining even more because right now the 28 car of Tim Taylor is mired in traffic. So Hinshaw is, although you can't tell here, is really picking up ground on the 28 car.
You know, Taylor should have the power to pass those cars. Like we said, those are lap cars prior to this, but he can't get around, Don. He is not moving on. He's staying right there with the lap cars. One like we talked about, it looks like he's faltering. Henshaw is coming on. A few laps to go here. This is going to be exciting, Don.
Well, I'll tell you what, apparently you were talking about the right rear. Maybe he has used up part of that right rear tire, and apparently he has, or so it seems, or maybe the handle on the 5 car is just getting better. Maybe they set that car up to handle the long runs a little more. I don't know. What I do know is that the 5 car of Hinshaw is definitely gaining and chewing away at the leader. Tim Taylor setting this one up for a great, great race here, a showdown to the checkered flag.
There he sits, right? Tim Taylor in the 28,
yep.
right on the inside of the Ken Croft, the Apple Baron Special, number 18. And as I see it from the side, Henshaw is coming on stronger and stronger with each and every lap.
And maybe the handle is a little better on the 5 car right now, but I got to tell you, the 28 car is in traffic, and it's not helping his effort at all, as the 5 car of Hinshaw is definitely coming. What used to be a half lap advantage has now gone to about 5, 6, 7 car lengths, with not too many laps to go in the Southern Nationals 100 for the ICAR Jasper Modified Series. Hinshaw has gunned down our leader with few laps to go.
He's right on his tail, Don. As the fans can see, they're on one frame right here. Boy, what excitement. You see the guy all the way out in front. He's certainly got the race won, and that's what happens. Race till the checkered flag, Don.
I'm not sure if he's got the race won. He's in traffic, and Hinshaw right on his bumper as we look for the checkered flag coming in the near future. I believe there's one lap to go in the Southern Nationals 100. Hinshaw all over the 28 car of Tim Taylor, and Taylor's in traffic chasing the 18 car, unable to get around. Hinshaw will get one more stab at the 28 car. In 3 and 4, he'll follow the tire tracks, and now look low, charging hard with the wheel inside. Not enough. Checkered flag for Tim Taylor as he holds off the hard late race charge from Gerald Hinshaw in the 5 car. What a finish. Running third will be L.J. Lyons in the 76 car. Chad Bland in 7th, finishes 4th. Rick Ronimus completes the top 5. What a show. Welcome back to Salem Speedway for the Summer Nationals 100, where the 28 car of Tim Taylor has parked in Victory Lane. Victory Lane celebration continues. Great shot here, Jim. Gotta love that.
It sure is. You know, we provide quality family entertainment, and boy, doesn't that say it all, Don.
And you've got some quality entertainment here. What was fairly uneventful to this point, or at least the last lap, the 28 car's half-lap lead went away to this, where Hinshaw takes one last shot at Taylor here off turn 4, smokes the right rear. Not enough, though. He'll fall 1 car length short at the stripe, but what a dramatic and fantastic finish to the Summer Nationals 100 here as Tim Taylor enjoys the Victory Lane celebration. Good shot of the family and friends and crew here at Salem, Indiana. Hope you enjoyed it. For Jim Minnick, I'm Don Radeball. So long, everyone.